Good morning. If you had any questions about how little influence I've had over this meeting, the fact that we're starting at 8 o'clock this morning, and the fact that I'm on first for both days tells you that I had absolutely zero influence on anything related to the scheduling or anything else in this meeting. So a lot of you have approaches and have been very excited about how well organized it's been. This is all Holly Rhodes and the staff here. But it is very exciting to be part of this panel and to be able to moderate this panel, because for some of you, you may have interacted with the display that Jevin put up outside that shows the field and shows how the field relates to other fields, what some of the citation patterns are, and it's an unbelievably rich database. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, either from the URL directly or on the display outside, I'll urge you to do that. This panel really exemplifies the interfaces of the field of science communication with other related fields of practice and of research. We'll hear, let's put it this way: the existing links that science communication have are really difficult to even quantify to fields like cognitive science, learning, education, psychology, decision sciences, and so on and so forth. And lots of Venn diagram overlaps, obviously, in that. We'll hear from 4 different people today from very different areas. And I'll introduce them really quickly to give you a sense of what's coming up, and then they'll do short presentations similar to what we've seen in the past, and then we'll hopefully have plenty of time for floor discussion, which I think has been going really well yesterday in terms of having a fruitful discussion about issues that are important to all of us. So we'll start with Duncan Watts, who is a principal researcher at Microsoft Research, who will this fall start as an integrated knowledge professor, university professor at Penn, with appointments in the business school and engineering and in communication. So you can already see how his work on network science, and I think somebody wrote about him, it may have been Amy Gutman, president at Penn, that he did computational science before we had a term for that kind of work. And then next speaker is Itzhak Janowitzki from Rutgers University. He was a professor at Rutgers now. Is that right? Ish. Associate professor, but professor-ish at Rutgers. At Rutgers, working on health communication, social norms, and the use of evidence in policy making. That's followed by Christy Ashwanden from 538, and many of you have read her work when we talked about yesterday about the effects of drinking a cup of coffee or 2 cups of coffee. If you want to see a brilliant journalistic overview of how that research shakes out and which parts of it are reliable, I would recommend. And I think you retweeted that yesterday, right? That link to that story? Yes. And so she'll talk about that work, I'm sure, a little bit. And then we get, I think, one thing that we very often pay too little attention to, and that is a perspective from industry. And Wallen from formerly Dow Chemical will talk about that a little bit more. She's served as the director of sustainable chemistry for Dow Chemical and led the 2015 Sustainable Chemistry Goal Project team. So we'll hear in order, again with short presentations, and I'm sure the speakers will tell you a little bit more about themselves as well. And then, as I said, we'll have hopefully plenty of time for discussion. So Duncan, I would ask you to come up first.